the foundation of organic intelligence is this idea that if we can be connected to the here and now in this moment and have conditions, which this is where it overlaps with Feldenkrais. If we have the right conditions that and the environment that is supportive to us, that we will be naturally self-organizing, that we will be auto-organizing. So like a child who's given, like the right supportive environment to grow, not that it's not, comes with challenges and whatever, that there'll be this, you don't have to teach a child to walk, right? You create the supportive environment for the child to, do this and to that, and to be attuned to. And then there's this natural development that occurs given the right conditions, given the, all the neurological, things in order, right? And so, of course, there are children who need different kinds of support. But given the right conditions, there'll be this natural self-organization. So this is the basic idea in organic intelligence, is that given the right conditions, we will connect to our own organic intelligence. And one of the key pieces to that is this idea of orientation to the environment. So there is a framework in organic intelligence that maps onto other frameworks, but I just find it really useful. It's called Isoma, and it stands for image, sensation, orientation, meaning, which is like cognitive thinking process, and affect or feeling. So all of those, and Feldenkrais would say moving, sensing, feeling, thinking. It's all connected, right? And it is all connected. But what I love about this framework with organic intelligence is he's like, we can come in at any one of these. So Feldenkrais uses the language of movement. So you could say like a strong element of that is sensation. But what if you have really uncomfortable sensations? What if every time you bring your attention to your sensation, it like makes you feel really bad? So that's an internal experience. Sensation is internal, and a thought is internal, and an image is internal, and a feeling is internal. And so there's this differentiation in organic intelligence that orientation is bringing the attention out into the environment and actually bringing our attention out of our internal experience. And you're never going to get out of, it's filtered through you. It's your perception. It's coming from inside of you. So there's no like objective, right? But it's this perception is directed to the feedback from the environment, and then the environment, which you're connecting to through your senses, gives you this information about the present moment. And then, of course, that can affect your sensations and your feelings and your thoughts and your images. And so it's this like foundation in organic intelligence that I've found super, super helpful. And so, it's influenced me in a lot of ways, but I will get out of the theory of it in a moment and into the practice, but I'll share one moment that just comes to mind is like being in the chaos of my kids, like screaming in the kitchen and like, everybody's hungry and tired. And then just remember, I'm kicked up, like, I'm like, oh my God, this is so intense. Yesterday I did it actually. I like decided to go out the back door. I walked outside for a second. I like felt the cold air. I saw like, the leaves on the tree, a little bit of sky. The light was different. I literally went out there for like 20 seconds. And then I came back in and I could be with the moment better. And so this was my thought for today is let's just take some time to be together, connect to this moment through this intention of orientation, and then see if that's supportive to us today in this time. So we'll dive into a little experience, and then we'll do a little kind of sharing in the chat, or if people want to unmute later too, we can do that. So take your eyes off the screen. So we're coming together on the screen to get off the screen. And let your eyes go where they would like to go. And I've worked with this practice, and sometimes people are like, oh, the impulse, I feel this impulse, like I want to close my eyes. So follow your impulse. If it feels good to look around a little bit, let your eyes explore. And really, like with Feldenkrais, we're looking for what is easy. So what feels easy right now? What can you see that is easy to see? And bringing your eyes a bit into the driver's seat of your experience. So letting your eyes organize you. And it may be that when you are looking, that there is a movement that follows, that when your eyes look, that your head, your spine, your weight shifts. So there may be movement, or it may be still. And you may see movement out the window, the leaves or branches, clouds. You may hear sounds. You may notice yourself lingering a little bit with something, or even feeling like your eyes kind of like space out a little bit, and just go with what's happening. So the intention is to actually have there be as little effort as possible in this connection with what you see, with what you hear. And you might notice spontaneous breath comes. So that's that auto-organizing. You might notice the impulse to shift where you're looking or shift your position. That's auto-organizing. You may sense your relationship to the ground. This is also the environment of the surfaces that you're in contact with. Okay, and we'll just come back together for a moment and just write in the chat anything that you're noticing, or maybe how you're doing right now after that little mini dip into orientation. And while you're doing that, I'll say, within the kind of larger framework, there's this idea of orientation as a practice, which is what we're playing with today, which leads to the state of being oriented, which is the opposite of disorientation, which leads to the trait of being oriented in your life. So the more you play with this, the more it happens naturally, the more it's less of a practicing orientation and more it's just like, oh yeah, here I am. Steve Hoskinson talks about like an ideal might be like a 60% background orientation, like a baseline of orientation, so that, you're having thoughts, images, sensations, feelings, and relationship to the environment, like conversation. And this is the beginning to this orientation in this kind of way, is also this direct connection to social engagement, to connecting with other people. Okay, so we have some experiences. That was a great explanation. My breath now expands deep into belly. Really nice. It makes sense what is the body when I include the environment. I start to feel much more playful. Nice. Enjoying the spaced out orientation. Yes, yes. Zooming out to the environment, not focusing on something specific. Lovely. I wanted to look out the window, but my eyes were drawn to a bright spot on the wall instead, which ended up being easier to focus and not focus on. I love that. I love that you were aware of this, like, oh yeah, I want to do this thing, but this is what's happening, and going with that. That is super beautiful. So let's do another dip in. Take your eyes off the screen. So again, bring your attention off the screen into the space that you're in, and notice what's calling you. What are you curious about? What feels easy? And so this time we'll play with, you bring your attention out through seeing, hearing, sensing the ground, and have the environment, the orientation to the environment, be in the foreground, and in the background, just see what your body would like to do in response. So, as I'm looking out the window, I'm just noticing this like shifting of my weight. So I'm just letting that happen. And so there could be this oscillation of like a little light attention on what's happening with your body, with your bodily experience, with your movement or stillness. And then again, returning to bringing the attention out. And as you're continuing to see what you see when you see what you see, sensing what you sense, hearing what you hear, notice what is most pleasurable or even just neutral. So you could go in the direction of neutral, which is like, not positive or negative, or in the direction of pleasure, if that is feeling good to you. And just notice, what is it that brings you some pleasure or some neutral feeling? And then shift again back into orientation. So there's this little oscillation between bringing the attention out into the environment Noticing a little bit how your body responds, taking a taste of pleasure if that feels good to you, and then returning again to orientation. Just taking another 30 seconds here to enjoy, to explore, to rest. And then return and share a bit of your experience. And during this time, while we're together in this way, invitation is to take care of yourself. If anything I'm suggesting is like, oh, I'd rather write in my journal, or I'd rather move around on the floor and have my intention inside myself, really do your thing. Okay, I'm on the West Coast and literally woke up 5 minutes prior to the start time. This is an amazing way to wake up. Awesome. That's amazing. First snowfall here in Montreal, I found myself drawn to the window to marvel at the snow, and then inside to the fire. Ooh, what a contrast. Nice contrast, and brought lovely movements of the spine to go from one to the other. Really nice. Nice. Mm-hmm. And I'm just noticing in this moment, this movement of my hands, which is just like spontaneously here. So this is another like example of the auto organizing. And so you might just notice as you're sitting here, like, is there any movement present for you? Or do you like all of a sudden you're sitting in the chair and you're like, actually, I want to stand up, or I want to sit down on the floor. So listen to those impulses. I feel alert and calm and finding what's easy and pleasurable. So good. Oh, good. I was circling my spine on top of sits bones. And you might notice that when you hear something or you read something from the chat, that it inspires like that moment when just that idea of circling over the sit bones, like it just came, this little mirror. It's like when you're, with the kid and the little, there's like a little child who's like sticking their tongue out, and you just feel like, like there's this these mirror neurons that happen, right? This kind of mirroring, or you're reading a book and there's an image in the book and you get the vivid image inside. It's like this idea that the feedback that we get from the environment like lights up the parts in us that resonate with that. And that's like another kind of auto organizing. No one said, okay, Tiffany, now when you read this, do this movement. That it wasn't like that. It was like I was circling my spine on top of sits bones, and that just happened, and that feels good. That became feeling to want to move one particular part of the spine that seemed connected to my seeing orientation. That's so good. So rich. I alternated between watching the wind and light playing on the tree outside and closing my eyes. Oh, good, 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 good. Eventually, I could imagine what the tree might look like based on the fluctuation of light through the window, and even with my eyes closed for longer periods of time. I've been seeing trees swaying. Nice. Some collective swaying trees. I have 7 animals to feed, 4 cats, 2 birds, and a dog who are beginning to get noisy. I will sit back down when they are more or less tended to, but I am listening even when you can't see me. And so this is the beauty of doing this kind of thing together online, is that we're in our environments, and that's feedback. You know, you're responding to the feedback of the animals in your environment and caring for them. And that's like a attuned response, and also an attuned response to like say, hey, this is what I'm doing, even if you can't see me. So just kind of highlighting these bits, you know, that, and really giving the permission to take care of yourself in all this. So let's do one more round, but I'll read this first. Watching the sky appears as clouds billow and disperse, perceiving the pattern of wind flow, sensing my breath as freeing as they loosen to reveal the blue. Nice. And you know what? I feel like I had a breath come. And another one. And I'm just excited because you could have like described exactly what I just saw too. I saw that version of that out the skylight here. Just walking as well, and drawn to the movement of tree and shadows of the leaves, water falling on pond, as though I had to take a deep breath when the breeze pushed through my open door. And then my dog came over and lay her head on my shoulder. Oh. Okay, let's do one more round. So just what comes to you easily? What is already here in your perceiving the environment? Like, how have you been perceiving your environment, but you weren't even aware that you were perceiving it? But now, just by inviting that, you're like, oh yeah, my hands are in this place contacting a surface. Oh yeah, my foot is on the ground. Oh yeah, there is this quality of light. And for this last round, I'll just invite, if there's any movement, like if your body, yourself as body, your bodily self wants to move or stretch or wiggle or lean or press or push, just let that happen. And then if your attention goes somewhere else, and you just return to seeing or hearing, sensing this place, this space. This moment. And then just check in with how you're feeling overall right now. Just your mood, your state. Okay, and then return, and we'll do the last round of sharing if you want.
Can I speak? I'm not so fast writer. So
Yeah.
this time my awareness more went to seeing stillness, or I appreciated things totally stable. And then I felt grounded, and a little bit my vision was higher than 20 minutes ago, and then I felt pretty stable right now.
Nice.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing. It's nice to hear you say that. It's like when I hear you describe that, it actually lights up in me. It makes me realize that I was also experiencing the stillness and the feeling of stability, but I hadn't thought of it quite like that or in those words. So hearing you say that is just another example of like that feedback from the environment is lights up in me. Oh yeah, I have that feeling too. And then it's like a way of harvesting the feeling in myself by hearing you share about it. So thank you. I feel a surprising sense of happiness. Yay. Oh, good, Tamara. Okay. Laugh out loud. It's like you were in my body mind. I did not know about this morning's practice until 1 minute before it started. I was about to dive into work, but chose instead. Great choice. But during this exploration, my eyes kept getting pulled to the work I should be doing. And as I was distracted by what I need to be productive with you, pulled me back to sensation. Thank you. And, and this is also like, in the move, create, practice sessions that we do once a month, we have like a longer time for open practice time. And you can even do work during that open practice time or do some kind of embodied or creative practice. And just having this like shift in environment can also shift our relationship to our work. And kind of this pull towards work or pull towards the valuing sensation, valuing connection, and so that eventually we can move in this direction of just having a nice balance of all of it. Okay, seeing how plants and leaves are playful in the wind, feeling myself being breathed as softly as the leaves and heartbeat. So nice. I feel less distracted by my planner and by thoughts in general, and I'm moving more intentionally. Nice. Calmer and more grounded. Beautiful way to start the day. Feel more generous. Oh, good. Yeah. I felt just like a strong impulse to do this with you all here. Will this be in the library? Yeah, I will add it to the library. There are some other orientation practices, longer ones, shorter, like 2-minute, 3-minute ones. And it's amazing what it seems so simple. It's like we're not even doing anything, but doing it a little bit, like every day, every other day, every once in a while, it really does add up. It really does add up and becomes more and more natural. And so, yeah, I'm glad you all enjoyed it. And I did too. I feel just kind of like less, because so what it does, right, is like there's this disorientation, chaos, like all this stuff going on, right? That's going on. And when our attention is all over there and that it dominates our experience. So adding the orientation in this moment, my hands are doing this, my legs are crossed, I'm like leaning like this, I see you guys, I hear my voice. It grows that orientation dimension to my experience so that then I have a bigger capacity to deal with the chaos. Like the chaos is not so overwhelming. It's more like it's in there. It's not like going to go away, but it's like increases our capacity. So that's the direction. That's the idea. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for coming. Nice to see you.
Yeah.